Peace, y'all. Welcome to Healing Lights. We're going to have a look at what's going on in the stars. I appreciate you coming through. Before I begin, my emoji situation on this app or with this device is not working at all. So I'll be sending astral emoji hearts. Peace, Aisha. Send you an invite and come on up if you like. All right, so just getting into things, we're dealing with really a supreme balancing right now. The moon is in 19 degrees of the sign of the scarab. That is a Libra degree. And the moon itself is sextiling Venus, trining the North Node, which is a big, big deal right now. The North Node is still very much Piscean. It's in 22 degrees of Pisces. It's also trining Lilith, which is in Scorpio. They're both in Saturnian degrees, not the exact same Saturnian degrees, but the North Node's in the 22nd degree. And we have Lilith showing up in the 10th degree. Both are Saturn degrees. Lilith is in the sign of Scorpio. And there's a lot of reworking going on. I don't believe I would call this reordering so much as realigning. So you could experience some realignment symptoms. Some of these symptoms could show up in the stomach region. It could show up in the womb area. There's definitely a lot of realignment taking place on a crown chakra level. Some of you may be a little more prone from now and going over the summer months into the fall to seeing things out the corner of your eye, having visions and things of that nature. And sometimes you can be having visions. And if that's not something you regularly experience, if you're questioning whether it's vision or not, check in with your intuition. There is a knowing that kind of comes with these things, and, the symbolism that's being communicated to you, or any synchronicities that are communicating symbolisms to you can be heightened at this time, increasingly into the fall, really sometime in October, I would say, probably approaching mid-October or mid-October. The lunar energies right now are very much claiming. So you could find yourself doing that physically. The South Node is definitely in Virgo. This could come out as a physical need, feeling like you have a need to clean, for your own emotional peace, emotional wherewithal. Some of you might be going through record books, doing various levels of accounting. Maybe a small percentage might be like going through the house and sorting and getting rid of things that they don't want any longer. But there is this aspect of making room, this aspect of not wanting to be closed into to like past chapters, to the rerunning of cycles, stagnancy anywhere it's appearing in your life. And you could have days where there's a predominance of this feeling or this emotional energy showing up in your personal experience. On a collective level, this is taking place a little more slowly, but it's more of an energy now of compassion beginning to return. Even if we're talking about more so like officialized departments and things of that nature, more compassion coming in, real compassion, right? Not campaigns that confuse what the real issues are to try to direct energy to something else that, might be a money funnel or just like a big act, but actual compassion. The homeless crisis comes to mind. And that's definitely something with Jupiter going into, or having already gone into, the sign of the scarab, aka Cancer, where we could see better ideas emerging, and more money actually moving in that direction, to bring a truly humanitarian balance, or at least make a really good and solid effort to bring balance to the current homeless population. Venus's energy, which the moon can sextile with, is in 21 degrees of Taurus, and the 21st degree is a Jupiter degree. There could be a lot of philosophical windows being opened, new pathways being explored. You could be looking at opportunities that you maybe would have looked at as unrealistic or impractical before. This can bring some light into your life. This can make the day feel better. Some of you may be branching out financially. You could be trying new kind of like apps or new approaches to how you manage finances or grow your money. The part of fortune is having a square with this moon. So the moon is actually squaring the part of fortune energy. And I feel like there's a need for reflection. And that's, how this is showing up. But the squaring action here, just a moment, because, 19 degrees. So the part of fortune's in 19 degrees of Libra. The squaring action here is, best way I can describe it, it's like feeling like you've been on a tightrope and you really can't do the tightrope thing anymore, or you've been wound too tight, and if there's any more winding of the tightness in whatever area this is showing up in for you, you feel like you might snap. So with this moon is smoothing out the edges and helping you to not push yourself harder than is at all required. Learning to make friends with your natural rhythms, learning to make friends with the concept of embrace of your actual needs, with Jupiter showing up in the moon's actual sign that the moon rules, the emphasis on the care of self, right? Care of others, but like really genuine care, big word. Like the big word here is care. That's what Jupiter is helping to expand, this concept that our emotional needs are being met, that our wellness needs are being met, not just on the physical level, but on a psychological level, that we're not inundated with toxicity. We've done a lot of collective shadow work, and this energy that we're experiencing today is looking to remind us that we're not alone out here, that we do have the divine collectively looking out for us. Ancestors watch over us all the time. But if we're continuing to allow ourselves to be wound up, there's a reflective aspect to conditioning and patterns within that could stop. But if we keep kind of going with those patterns, it can keep giving some amount of fuel, right, to that external situation that maybe we've grown to resent or we've grown to be very, very tired of. So this is really a drop your baggage energy, and not in a way that's self-deprecating, to, you know what I'm saying? Like, kind of do your best to realize like you are doing your best. This is about allowing yourself to be poured into, allowing yourself to rest, allowing yourself to not worry about how your needs are going to be met, actually really aligning in faith with the divine, actually not picking up the phone if the person on the other end that's calling has a really negative effect on your aura, your electromagnetic body, and you feel zinged by the fact that the phone is ringing, or you feel zinged by the fact that, I don't know, maybe a neighbor popped by. This is you watering your garden or allowing your garden to be watered. As far as money is concerned, I feel like aligning with the smarter course of action right now is going to be the best bet. So spending more frugally, at least for the next week or two, really thinking through what you're purchasing, why you're purchasing it. I think that's a super good way to spend your money in the current time. There's money in collectibles. There's money in fashion, both new and vintage fashion. Some money in like hair care, those sorts of things, oil industries, canned foods. Here's some of the random things, right, that show up in this energy. If you're having strain at this time, things that you no longer require, right, that may have some resale value, that might be a way to pick up some money, unless it's like super a super nostalgic piece, but being inventive in this energy is strongly encouraged. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I would like to go over. With Jupiter has a square with Saturn, and Saturn is in Aries in the first degree. This energy is requiring people to tone down conflict. Jupiter's in a water sign right now, and Saturn is in Aries, which can have its conflict levels of energy. The first degree is also in Aries energy, so it's the energy itself, but it's also the mode of action and how we're acting in that Saturn and Aries energy. Taking decisive action, planning things out, going to Saturn's wisdoms rather than jumping all the way into the Aries energy is going to be the better way to move. And if you're dealing with conflicts, finding a way to get into the water, get into what is optimistic. If you've got to work with frequencies, light your angel candles. There are different ways to bring more of a water vibration into your experience. It's ill-advisable to go headlong into any conflicts. Neptune is also in 2 degrees of Aries. Clear your head. Disallow anyone to kind of play games with your head and really get into the flow. And that's going to be the best way to work with the current energies while these realignments are taking place. There are a lot of truths that are going to be coming out, and like with proof. It feels like some cold hard proofs. And I think it's going to answer some questions, but I think at the same time there could be a sense of emotional discontent. And this can cause like contemplation and going inward and thinking deeply about beliefs and what have you believed, and those sorts of emotional states can sorry y'all. I have people arguing in the background and major door slam, and it threw off my train of thought. All in all, I'm just gonna bring this to more of a head. The way to use these energies right now is to count yourself in, because the divine clearly did, right? You've been created, you're here, you're part of a lineage. There's a purpose for you. If you need tenderness, if you need to relax, do everything you need to do to make that happen. If you need time off, right, from work, this is where you go and you sit down and you let it be known you're mentally exhausted. You don't have the emotional wherewithal. And you, like, from a human place, having a human experience place, you have that talk with whoever you have to have a talk with, because that's what we're returning to, is people coming from a level of, kind of human to human, not some AI algorithm. We're coming off of the treadmill of sensations and overstimulation. Not saying it's an overnight process, but where we are right now, and what this moon in particular, being a new moon, is beginning to catalyze, is a realization that we must actually move at our rhythm if we're to be well. And keep in mind, the South Node's in Virgo, so this is one of those times where, like, we really do have to gain some mastery over that particular lesson, for what's to come for the waters ahead, because it is about raising consciousness and going up to higher levels of consciousness in order to grasp what's going to be coming in for us in terms of enlightenment. You have to be able to hold ground, and that's going to mean self-care is super important. I think that's pretty much it, y'all. Venus is sextiling the North Node in Pisces, so this is super juice, but it's a sextile, so as I've learned it, it's something you can choose to activate or not choose to activate. But this is super juice for artistic projects, fashion, beauty, hair, you can get into those waves of energy and find a lot of joy there, and probably an unexpectedly sizable payout if this is a field you want to pursue. I hope that y'all found this helpful. And I thank you so much for tuning in. Peace, y'all. And astral emoji hearts, since my emoji hearts don't work on this app anymore. Who knows? Maybe that'll change.